European Social Fund, I guess, and well, you tell what you're doing, but I think the room knows a bit, as you've heard, they know, because they've exploited the European Social Fund programs. So they know about the social fund and the programs. Maybe they don't know so much about the new and upcoming program, so you could lead us into that as well. So you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Jan. Thank you for the invitation. It has been very interesting to listen. It's very good when the Commission official receives an invitation to an event where practitioners speak about what they are doing, because people in the Commission sit in their offices very often and read strange documents with weird words like social enterprise, social economy, but have no clue what it actually means. So thank you very much for inviting me. It has been very informative for me, and I hope I will be a little bit informative to you as well. I will try to be at least. I will speak mainly about future funding possibilities, although I think the ideas that the practitioners were presenting are investments which would find the funding possibilities anyway. That's one thing I remember from university, where I learned economics. If you have an investment which will make return, that will find the funding resource in any case, regardless whether you have European Social Fund or not. But anyway, I will speak about funding possibilities from the European Social Fund. I will try to give you some ideas which I think could help you in reading key documents, which will be reference documents in the future programming period, the partnership agreements and the operational programs, because I think when those reference documents are drafted, hopefully in partnership with non-governmental organizations, then I think it's good that you recognize those reference words, those hooks on which you can hang on your code. Before going into that, I will give you an overview of the timing of the process which leads up to the adoption of these operational programs, which will be the main documents providing a basis for the funding opportunities, which I think is important. I mean, this view on the timing is important so that you can act in time, because now the procedure is approaching to that point when these strategic documents are adopted. So there are two parallel processes. One is the negotiations of the regulatory framework of the European Social Fund and the other structure and the other common strategic framework funds, Cohesion Fund and the European Regional Development Fund. The negotiations are ongoing with the European Council and the European Parliament. And the good news is that social enterprise, social economy is one of the investment priorities that isn't debated by any of the parties taking part in the negotiations. So there will be an investment priority in the future through which you can directly fund these type of activities. What is probably more important is the process of drafting and negotiating the national partnership agreements and the national or regional operational programs. All member states have started some kind of preparations. My understanding has been that Sweden is a bit more advanced, have some kind of drafts already on the partnership agreement. but others like the UK are not there yet. And the Commission is at the moment preparing so-called Commission position papers, which set out those investment priorities that the Commission thinks would be important to be financed in the future. These Commission position papers are going to be sent to the Member States in 2 weeks' time. So that is, I think, a key point for stakeholders to start to contact national counterparts and try to discuss with them what their ideas are, what should be financed from the European Social Fund in the future programming period. Because these Commission position papers can make some kind of influence, and that is, I think, a point in time where you can make an influence as well. These so-called partnership agreements should be adopted in the first half of next year, so that the operational programs can be adopted by the end of next year, which would mean that the funds from the European Social Fund can be accessible from 2014 onwards. So that would be a smooth procedure. Now I go to the hooks, which I think can be useful to hang your quotes on. Of course, there we have this so-called investment priority on social enterprise and social economy. In those countries where you will have an investment priority on that, your case is one, because there the thing is easy. There will be funding for social enterprises. The problem is that funding has to be, ESF allocations to the different countries has to be concentrated at a very high level. 4 investment priorities have to take up at least 80% of the funding in developed regions, which means that there is a small amount of money available to other investment priorities. And there are many investment priorities to be financed by the European Social Fund, like public employment services, vocational education and training, or institutional capacity building. So there will be a lot of competing investment priorities, and it will very often happen that social entrepreneurship is not among those 4 investment priorities on which the bulk of the funding is concentrated. So I think it is very important to keep in mind that social enterprise is not only a thematic priority, but also a delivery mechanism. So social enterprises can and should take part in delivering other social policies. For example, if you have in your national ESF operational program an investment priority on increasing access to services or labor market integration of long-term unemployed, social enterprises are or can be a key player in that field as well. Thirdly, social innovation is a so-called shall provision in the ESF regulation, which means that social innovation has to be part of ESF operational programs in each member state. And of course, social enterprises are natural stakeholders or natural parties which deliver social innovation. So I think there is also a good entry point for social enterprises in the ESF operational programs. These are the priority areas, and what kind of forms the support can take. That's also an important point, because when you discuss these operational programs, you not only decide what will be funded, but how. And that I think also important from the point of view of stakeholders like social enterprises. And of course you have the traditional grants, which are in most of the cases the form of support for not only for social enterprises but all kind of beneficiaries. The second type of support is support to systems and structures, which is important, especially in those countries where you don't have a well-developed system or environment for social enterprises. So in case you need a network of consultants or an accreditation mechanism, that's a so-called support to system and structures that you can finance from the ESF as well. And thirdly, you have the famous financial instruments. I wouldn't say a new possibility for the future, because this possibility has existed at least in the ESF framework, not in all national legislative frameworks, but in the ESF framework it has existed, but it hasn't been used at all or very rarely. So for the future period, this has been in the new ESF regulation. A dedicated article is about financial instruments, which shows the importance of attached to financial instruments by the European Commission. The article says that risk-sharing schemes, guarantee funds and loan funds can be financed, can be put in place by the national authorities from ESF money, which can, we believe, provide additional funds for these type of activities. These type of activities can be very similar to what has been done at community level by Progress. And the Progress Microfinance Facility will continue under a new name in the future programming period, the so-called Program for Social Change and Innovation. One part of this program will continue as a microfinance facility. And according to plans, this facility will provide a window for national pots of monies. So national ESF allocations can be put into the microfinance facility and will be available to the national beneficiaries, which means that the national authorities do not have to start up with a new facility. They can spare the administrative part of setting up a new fund. I will stop here.
Okay, thank you very much. I've seen that we now have the two MEPs. Maybe there's a short question to the Commission representative. I don't know if Mr. Valens would like to supplement with something, because you're also coming from the EU Commission.
Unless if there is any question.
Okay, fine. So we have at least two representatives for the EU Commission. Also one, Edward Valens, coming from the EU DG Markt, is it? Okay, fine, thank you for that. It's more social business, and Gabriel from the Employment General Directorate. Any quick questions before we let in the MEPs? No, you all wait for the MEPs to take the floor. Yeah. Should you go both?
Yeah.
Okay. Sven, okay, appreciate very much that you've come here. Even if you are the rapporteur and the banking union and what you are, and which is possibly those today the most important issue, one of the most important issues in the European Union. So this is Sven Giegold from the Greens, from Germany, and on the more left, let's put it like that, from my side, we have Jens Nilsson from the Socialists and Democrats. I can't remember the new name.
S&D.
S&D. It's S&D. Okay. Who wants to start?
Please. Normally in the European Parliament it would be S&D speaking like the Greens.
But we can be polite here. I'll give you the floor first.
No, we don't have. I'm German. You don't have to be polite. Please.
It's no problem. I'll start with saying that I'm also the former president of REV Network, the Citizen Regions in Europe for Social Economy. And as a former president, I must say that if you can spread the word around, that this network, built on local partnership between local authorities and social economy, is extremely important to share experience throughout Europe. I must say that in the beginning, because that's also my experience. Working together as a mayor in my town, before I came to the European Parliament, working together with the social economy sector in my town. And I think that local partnership is crucial to have success. Now back to European Parliament. I've been there for 6 months, so rather new in the environment of the Parliament. Sven has more experience on that. But I also took part in the discussion in the intergroup of social economy. And sometimes I leave because they only speak French and they have no English, so then I cannot be there. But when we're discussing social business initiative, I was there, and I also said in that debate that in political terms we have to be very careful about the definition. What is the definition? And if we can find a definition, we must have a description so we know what we're talking about. And that is not easy, because if I look around now in Sweden, but also in the debate in the Parliament, I can see that the social business initiative, we could, if we are not careful enough, the whole program could be kidnapped by the private companies. We must discuss the definition, if we can, otherwise we can get lost. So, and we had a lot of discussion, not in I'm in REGI Commission, with the structural funds and cohesion policy. So in employment, where they had this, they had also a great debate on the definition and how to describe the sector. And I know that Sven is also was truly involved in that discussion.
Oh, that was quick. So first of all, thanks for the invitation. If I understand correctly, you are mostly from the Scandinavian countries, is that correct? Or is that just by chance that you took this floor here in order to... I was surprised because we always thought that the capital of Scandinavia is Hamburg. So in Germany we always say that's southern Sweden. So I never saw this advertising. Anyway,
there are many Scandinavians, but there are also people coming from all other countries.
Okay, so you're truly European, excellent. So I just would like to make a few quick points. So I also have a background in the sector. So before I joined the ATTAC movement and then came to the Greens, I helped creating an environmental center on a cooperative basis in my hometown, which had been actually under Swedish occupation for 50 years, which was only to the good of this city, because before it was a mess and they brought some order into Fehrenhalle, which is near Bremen, and now there are still 50 jobs created in this center in the green and social sector, and it even grew during the the crisis, this is exactly what a large part of the social economy is about. It was based on other values than just maximizing money, and therefore it also has more resilience than many other parts of the economy. So therefore it's a love affair, and therefore I fully disagree with you. It's not more important to reconstruct financial markets. I think it's more important to build an economy which is based on other values. But at the same time, if we do not bring order in the financial sector and also get out of some of the environmental and social problems, we cannot build a new economy from below when we get the macro level destroyed. And therefore the two have to go together. And I think that's also important in the social business, business, or I would rather say social and solidarity economy, to always tell this story that building from below and influencing how the large global decisions are made, that both goes together and it's not a contradiction. So therefore I'm proud to follow at the same time the same issues as you do. So in the intergroup on the social economy, which has a long tradition here, and it's true it has a certain French-speaking backing, but I was lucky, I learned French before, and so I'm not depending on her translations, which she always offers, and one should never, so also when you come, there are events of the intergroup, and the intergroup tries to follow the work on social economy related issues here in the European Parliament. And, but I have to say it became more fun to do this since the Commission with Michel Barnier really started doing things. Before there were lots of, I make it very simple now, please expect, yeah? But I think in the past there were again and again reports written and studies commissioned how great the social economy is, but there happened actually quite little when it came to European rules. I would say now we are in another phase. There is a more serious commitment to really change some of the rules which are a problem for social economy enterprises, and also do some things to empower. So as Greens, we had consultations with 60 different associations representing around Brussels, but also in the member states, the social and solidarity economy, and asked them, what do you think the EU should do in order to support you? And basically we found, and I will be very quick, a few priorities. So first, the EU should stop discriminating. So any area which are designed only for profit conventional businesses should be redesigned to open them up to also social and solidarity economy businesses. Second, when the EU does legislative frameworks, for instance for the financial sector, it should take, for example, cooperative banks into account and not treat them adversely or hinder their development. 3, there should be an end to harmful subsidies. So you don't have to talk about social economy in agriculture as long as we subsidize the traditional agriculture with a lot of European money. So stopping to subsidize the harmful helps also the ones who take responsibility seriously. And lastly, we think there should be support for the sector. So now, and then concretely, which sort of support could there be? There is, for the cross-border operations of the social and solidarity economy, there is the question of legal forms, like the European Cooperative Statute, which is already there, which is not used very much because it's so bureaucratic that nobody wants to use it. This has to be changed. And the Commission, in the framework of the Social Business Initiative, is now moving towards also opening up for other legal forms of the sector, European approaches like for the foundation. We also need that for the association, so that cross-country initiatives have a legal form which is appropriate for the sector and doesn't violate the values. Then there should be a cross-border statistical effort to measure the impact of the social and solidarity economy. Meaning, in European statistics, there should be counted how many jobs are in the sector. We have these figures for the cooperatives. The figures are much worse when it comes to associations and others. Please correct me, the Commission has perhaps counted already. So, I would say we have no so good figures on the value added of the sector and on the amount of jobs in the sector. Please correct me if you have the figures now. Anyway, our committee wrote into the Eurostat jobs for the period to come that they should count the sector, because what is not counted is not seen, and what's not seen is not supported. So then 3, there should be specific European approaches to finance, and there is a helpful initiative of the Commission, the Social Entrepreneurship Fund, which is helping investors to put money into a fund of which 70% has to be invested into social business. We can talk about the definition later. That's a helpful initiative. It's at the moment blocked because some member states block the definition of tax havens, which is a total side issue. I will not go into why this is the case, but in your country you should complain why the Council is blocking this helpful initiative with another one, the European Venture Capital Funds, only because they are against that basically in the legislation is defined that they cannot invest in tax havens. And obviously they don't like it because in Europe there are some tax havens and they will be uncovered then. So, I think the Social Entrepreneurship Fund has nothing to do in a tax haven. That's my personal opinion, and it's even worse with the venture capital. But that's why this is blocked at the moment, but I guess sooner or later it would get out. Then the access of the social sector to the structural funds, I understand that this was the topic of the former intervention. I will not go deeper. 5th, and the Commission is doing that at the moment, many of the businesses were asking for changes to the rules of public procurement and state aid, because there are some problems that the definition, what you can do for in a public procurement demand, that this is cannot take into account, for instance, certain criteria which would target that public money and is used for companies in the social and solidarity economy. I understand the Commission is also there moving forward, and I'm not an expert of that, but it's going on. We have a permanent struggle on the question of whether cooperatives and other social models are taken seriously in financial reform at the moment. It's a permanent struggle each time, although the DG Mark is very busy on the social and does things on the social business initiative. Still, in the financial part of the DG Mark, regularly we have to wipe out as Parliament all the provisions which are harmful for social banks and cooperatives. It's a permanent work, and the same with the insurances. I'm totally fed up with this. There must be some cross-department work on this too. But the Parliament is doing that, and we are defending the sector. And lastly, I think we need more work on visibility and more work on coordination between the efforts in the member states to support the sector. That's what REV, if I understand, is about. I think the Commission has also started now doing work on this. There was a big conference, there are leaflets, there are things which were not there to that extent before. And I think there should be a more systematic effort to incite the member states to learn from the best experiences in different regions and member states to support the sector, because we see in Europe, in some regions, some sectors are strong there, in other areas, other sectors are strong, and Europe could really systematize a learning effort how to support your sector, and I think that's also what you deserve. Thank you.
But I think that,
Just a couple
I hope that you could comment on this, because
I just want to complete, because there is two comments. The first is that it is a lot of blocking. It is a lot of blocking right now, and of course, negotiation with the MFF financial framework for 2014 to 20, and nobody is agreed on anything in the Council. So it's a lot of blocking because of that. And they use other issues also to block. So that's a big problem. I am in the Regi Commission, so we are discussing the regulation for the structural funds. in ERDF and ESF and all the other funds, because there's one regulation. And I must say that it's very important what we also say in that regulation about social business. So, because most of people on local level is where the European money is available is in those funds. So I think that's it's also very important that we advocate the discussion we have in our commission. And I must say I'm a little disappointed, mostly from the EPP group, because they don't really understand what we're talking about and are trying to block. When yesterday we discussed the public procurement, just for an example, and when you discuss how to the local authority can demand a social and environment responsibility, they block it if they can. That's a big political problem. But what I say is that the MFF negotiation is overall covering a lot of discussions. So what will come out of it in the end, I'm not sure, because it's a big, big problem with the financial discussion for framework 2020.
Yes, I think it's important what you're saying. But Sven, last time I met you, and it was quite impressive that the Greens, excuse me for saying it, Jens, but the Greens is the first party in the Parliament, European Parliament, to have adopted a program for social solidarity economy. I don't know if you've adopted it yet, but it's at least in a kind of elaboration phase. So it's quite interesting. I mean, so you have lines which you follow. It would be good if you could have...
I can say that everybody in the SND group don't understand the crucial of this sector.
But you're much bigger. You're much bigger.
We are getting a majority, I hope.
You're much bigger. Any questions to those MEPs before they run back to Parliament?
I'm not such in a hurry.
Okay.
No reason to run away.
You're running away from...
I have more financial lobbyists. I like more to run away from them.
Okay. Any questions to the members of the European Parliament? Come on. Yes, please. There is a comment from the Commission.
Thank you, Emmanuel Vance, DG Internal Markets. Perhaps instead of asking a question, I might answer a question asked by Mr. Giegold. First, to start by thanking him for the very kind words he had for the work of the European Commission in the Social Business Initiative. You asked about the latest figures. Well, actually, I've just seen them last week, I think. They were the first results were published by the CIRIEC for the Economic and Social Committee. They updated their study of 2005 on the social economy in Europe with the latest figures for 2009, 2010. So I think that's the best we can do. And the overall result for the total of the EU 27 is for cooperative, we have 4 million workers. For mutual societies, 360,000 workers. And for associations, 9 million workers. So associations account basically for the biggest part of the European social economy, with an overall numbers of workers of 14 million workers. So that's the latest figures we have for the moment, but this is just the abstract, so you see the abstract is quite big already. And I haven't actually seen the final report, which must be 200 pages thick. On the financial aspects and your slight irritation concerning the on the slight irritation I had concerning the lack of accounts being taken of the peculiarities of social economy in the financial regulations of the whole. I'm not personally a specialist of this field, but my colleagues tell me that there is a lot of interpretation behind it, and actually you can interpret the way the financial texts are drafted in a more dynamic way than some people would want to, so that they are actually fitted for the needs of socio-economic enterprises. But no, obviously on more specific issues I may come back in writing if you have specific questions to me, because I can't be more specific on that. Thank you.
But just to respond very briefly, I don't want to accuse you of anything for which you have no responsibility. And that was not for you, and I know your commitment, and I not even think that Michel Barnier is doing that on purpose. The only problem is that if you are doing banking regulation, and there comes out a draft, and then the Federation of Cooperative Banks comes to you and tells me, look, there are special rules for British cooperative banks. We told the Commission before, but now the rule is not in there. And it would basically harm us considerably in the competition with the banks which brought us into the crisis. If the German banks come to me, the German cooperative banks tell me, look, if this would really be applied, our group had to increase its capital well above the level which a normal cooperative banking, a normal banking group had to do. So there would be again put in a cute. We like this as Greens. So there are some plants missing here, by the way. The point is, and the Germans tell me, well, this is putting us in a disadvantage in comparison to ordinary banks, although again, the cooperative banks in Germany were the only banking group which have not used any public funds, while the public banks and the private banks both were financed a lot by with subsidies from the Germans, and so on and so forth. I can give you a long list of all the complaints of the different social economy financial actors, and well, and it would simply be great to have consistency and a sort of social economy check in the DG Markt. Then we wouldn't have all these annoying lobby meetings because it's a so. There are enough of them. Yeah, please, perhaps you have some more experience to share on this sort of stuff.
No, but I share the same experience, and when you draw up regulations, you are not looking in this sector, and that's the problem. And not only European but also national level is the same.
What would be the top priority, speaking from both of you, in order to give social solidarity economy push in the European Parliament? What would be, I mean, of course you could say you could do it in each sector, you would do actions, but what would be the top priority, if you understand what I mean? What could really get more members behind you?
More members.
Okay, more members in Parliament behind you, mobilized members. It's maybe more a problem for yes.
For me, it's a question of political discussion about what harm does capitalism, finance market, if they have no rules. You need the rules. You need to control the financing market, because what has happened now is that there were banks who created the crisis, more or less. And we have to have a political discussion how to control the finance market.
And you need cooperative banks in order to
you need the examples, because I saw there should be a seminar in the Parliament soon. I heard about it about the cooperative banks, social economy banks are an alternative economy and should not have created the crisis. It's simple as that. If you have a social solidarity economy in the base, you will not create the crisis like this.
Well, I would like to say the following. I think the best support we could get is to have an effective representation of the sector here in Brussels. I tell that very openly. I think that we have a tendency in the sector, each group and subdivision basically representing itself, although, and preaching a lot, and for definitions and differences between the different approaches for ages. So some believe in cooperatives, other in social business. Then the cooperatives say, but you are not a cooperative. The social business saying, some cooperatives, you are not a social business. So, and I can go on with this. So all sorts of differences, although in fact, on most, of course there are some black sheep also in the sector, and they have not a lot to do with social business. And therefore it's important not to be totally ignorant to this issue of who belongs to that and who doesn't. But anyway, the result of that is there's no effective federation. If you look at 40 million jobs, where's the representation which has the power which corresponds 14 million jobs in Brussels? I don't see it. And the same in Germany. We have a quite effective cooperative lobby, everybody else totally dispersed. If the sector would be able to build a lobby force which corresponds its importance for the society and in economic terms, where you do not stress your difference, but what you have in common. And there's a lot what the sector has in common. Then we would have a different state of play, because you not have so much less workers than the automotive industry. And I tell you, the automotive industry is very effective in Brussels to destroy again and again useful regulation coming out of the environmental area. You could push for the things you need, and that has so little power behind it is also a lack of the sector. And I give that therefore back, because I think, at least in our committee, when we raised these issues, I had never a problem to find a majority to support the cooperative bank against stupid regulation. Never had a problem. Also not with the EPP, by the way. They perhaps don't work so hard to discover that, but once you tell them, look, this makes no sense, they have no problem with this. So everybody basically loves you in theory. But how strong they want to work for this depends how loud you shout. And you have to organize your loudspeaker. And I can only say it's a pity that there are so many representations and no coordination of the forces. And please Europeanize your forces. That would be my plan.
I just want to agree. When we were discussing in the 90s, the social economy of Europe could talk with one voice. When we were discussing employment policy, for example. And the social economy had their processes in the sector, and then talk with one voice. Today, when I sit in the parliament, I cannot see that one voice. There is several voices, and that's a problem.
Could you just repeat, I was a bit slow here, about the social business initiative? Just a few words on what it is about.
Okay. Because it's maybe you do it very quickly. It has been a headline today, but you could do it very quickly, so we get to the right figures. Is that all right?
Of course.
It's not our
But
view.
who are you?
Oh, I'm one of the organizers.
You know what the social business initiative is, but you're concerned about the title. Okay, yeah.
Perhaps I walk here so that I can actually see people in their address. So very quickly, because I'm not a speaker, and I wasn't meant to speak here. But since
You were asked to speak.
But well, I'm asked to speak, so I happily oblige. Since we drafted basically with DG Employment and DG Enterprise the Social Business Initiative, I tried to sketch it out very quickly. Not going into the definition issue of what is and what is not a social enterprise, but basically we identified three main sets of challenges, and therefore tried to answer with three main sets of policies and actions to meet the needs of social enterprises in Europe. The first one is access to finance, and here we focus both on improving the way social enterprises access to public finance, notably through the reform of the structural funds. And this was explained previously by my colleague from DG Employment, so I'm not going into that. The second aspect is improving access to private finance, because we are in a situation where public authorities have less and less money and we need to find alternative ways to bring fresh finances into the whole of the economy, and in particular into the social enterprises sector. And therefore we proposed a draft regulation for European social entrepreneurship funds, which are essentially private investment funds, to enable them to operate cross-border and bring private money from private investors into the projects of social enterprises and invest directly into social enterprises. So, to put it very quickly, that was the first element. The second one is still ongoing because it goes much deeper into the current cultural lack of cultural awareness of what social entrepreneurship is. It is precisely awareness raising, information sharing, etc. So that both investors, public authorities, social entrepreneurs themselves as well become more aware of what is social entrepreneurship, what are social enterprises, the fact that it goes beyond the mere issues of social inclusion, but that they are a full part of the economy and of new type of economic recovery in the European Union. And so that's a very important aspect on which we're still working, because there's a lot of capacity building, information sharing. It's not something you just don't clack with your fingers and create a regulation to create awareness raising. It's a lot of groundwork, meeting with stakeholders here in Brussels, but mainly on the ground in member states, encouraging local authorities to organize workshops, etc., on how to implement socially friendly public procurement, for instance, and that sort of stuff. So it's a lot of day-to-day work which doesn't yield any result in the very short term. And the last element is the improvement and the streamlining of the overall regulatory framework, which covers state aid, which covers the public procurement rules that we are reviewing at the moment, and which also includes the issue of statutes of the legal statutes of social economy enterprises at the EU level, the issue of the review of the European cooperative, and all the ongoing reflection on whether we need or not a European statute for European mutual societies and for mutual associations if the Council of Ministers discusses with a positive outcome our current proposal on the European statute for European foundations. So basically, in a very few words, that's the general framework of the Social Business Initiative.
You're a good speaker.
Excuse me, Mr. Valens. I dodged the question. I should have possibly been able to answer it, as I'm a member of the expert group they have established in the Commission. But I couldn't answer it as well as that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Do you have some more comments, or I want to conclude then, but...
I just would like to say one thing.
Yeah.
Always when there is things coming up in the Parliament, as we are just drafting or finishing basically our response to the Social Business Initiative, I have a mailing list with now 700-800 people from the sector, which I consult regularly, and I also get helpful responses. So who wants to be on this list and get into exchange on policy which relates to social and solidarity economy in Europe, you can put your name on the list. I would appreciate to keep in touch. And beyond that, I tried basically all the elements you were mentioning. I was not explicit enough. I went through the list, and always when I said the Commission is already doing it, it's a part of the Social Business Initiative he's coordinating in the DG Markt. So basically we had a coherence there.
I will put myself on your list, and also say that as I said in
You
the
can
beginning,
join the Greens, no problem.
as I said in the beginning, the REV network is extremely important. When I ask the library of the Parliament, please, I need quickly a paper who says what is the social economy issues in the Parliament this year. I want it quickly. They said the easiest way, you go to Rev website, because they are better than the library in the parliament to have control of what's happening. So please join the Rev network.
Okay, thank you for that, Jens. Thank you for that. I say it as president of the Rev Network. Thank you for that. Should we give him a hand and I do some small I cannot at all, I may conclude discussions being here today, but I took up 2 points that you made. A particular point you made first on, last point, on that we have to do our job ourselves in order to push you. Yeah, and Karin, I mean, it's up to us how we organize ourselves and how we form ourselves, and we should do it maybe on another basis, also using the intergroup maybe more efficiently in that case. I don't know. Taking up what Jen said, it's about partnership. It's about a public-private partnership, which I think is very important to promote and the public to promote. I could also mention other partners. I see them here in the room. The trade unions should really also and could be a partner for the social economy in this partnership. But earlier today we discussed social franchising as a concept, a new concept, a model that could be followed, which has had a quite interesting development in Europe, and that is about creating models of dissemination, creating networks, about risk sharing. It's about the business model. It's not only about the values, but also about another different business model, which is resilient in the crisis, which is run by the values, but has shown it's been very successful over the last years, and particularly then we took a part of the social economy, social franchise, and we could show that social franchising has been very important over the last years and can be very important. It's about the models of business that we create and have. I mean, Guy, it's about grow or die for us. It is, and we should not be too restrictive in our approach, our outward approach. I think we have opportunities. We have learned today that we have opportunities. We've heard it from the Commission. We have heard it from Gabertot, from employment. We've heard it from Valence of the DG Markt. There are opportunities. We could use them and exploit them. We should do it. And we have friends in the European Parliament. However, Kari, we do not really know how to treat them. That's a problem. That's a problem. Will we need more? Oh, we need to be clever. We need to be clever. Okay, thank you very much for coming.